Hello, welcome everyone. Today our topic is Naïve algorithm. Naïve algorithm is a pattern matching algorithm where for each position I in the text, compare the pattern P with substring T. If all characters matches, then record I as a valid match position. Let's see example. Here, A, this is a text, and ABA, this is a pattern. We have to search this pattern uh, in the text T, whether it is present or not in the text T. So I represents the valid match position of the pattern P, and J represents the position of all character of pattern P. And the I plus J indicates the position of the text T. So initially the value of I is equal to 0. The I, the searching with I will continue up to n minus m. Here n represents the length of text T and m represents the length of pattern P. So it will continue up to 5 minus 3. That means 2 position. 0, 1, 2. I will continue up to 2 position. So the rules is very simple. When there is a match with the text and pattern, J will be incremented by 1. And if there is a mismatch, that time the value of J will 0 and the I will be incremented. Otherwise, if there is a pattern found, that time also I will be incremented by 1. So let's see. Here we see that initially the value of I is equal to 0 and the value of J is equal to 0. So the pattern Pj and the text Ti plus J, there is a match. If there is a match, then search for the next character. That means the value of J will be incremented. So here J is incremented. Now we see that there is also a match with Ti plus J and Pj. If there is a match, J will be incremented. Yes, J is incremented again, and we see that there is also a match with Ti plus J and Pj. If there is a match, so the value of J again will be incremented, which is J is equal to 3. Here we see that the value of J is equal to the value of M, which means there is a pattern found. So pattern found at which position? That is I is equal to 0 position. The pattern is found at I is equal to 0 position. When a pattern is found, then I will be incremented and the value of J is equal to 0. Yes, there is I is equal to 1 and the value of J is equal to 0 again. So it will start the search from the position I plus J. So again, we see that Ti plus J and Pj. Now there is a mismatch. If there is a mismatch, so what will we do? We just simply increment the value of I by 1. Here we see that I is equal to 2 and J remains 0. Now Ti plus J and Pj, there is a match. If there is a match, that time increment the value of J, which is J is equal to 1. Now Ti plus J and Pj, there is a match again. If there is a match again, that time increment the value of J by 1. Yes, J is equal to 2. We see that there is a match again, Ti plus J and Pj. There is a match. If there is a match, then increment the value of J by 1. We see that there is the value of J is equal to 2, which is equal to the length of the pattern P, which means there is also a pattern we found at which position I is equal to 2 position in the text. So pattern found at I is equal to 2 position. When pattern is found, simply we increment the value of I, that is I is equal to 3. Here I is equal to 3. Now, how many times the loop will gone through. The search will gone through. The search will gone through up to 5 minus 3. That means position 2. If the value of I is greater than 2, that times the loop is going to end. So here I is greater than I equal to 3 is greater than n minus m. That means the search is completed. Finally, we can say that the pattern found at I is equal to 0 and I equal to 2 position. There is the algorithm. So we see that the algorithm says I will go to 0 to n minus m position when for each I, j will be started from 0 position and it will continue up to m minus 1. And if there is a match with ti plus j with pj, that times only j will be incremented. J will be incremented. After that, from out of the loop, then it will check the value of j and m. If there is a equality between j and m, then print the pattern found at index I. Simply. Now, consider this text and this pattern for another example. Here initially, we see that the length of text, which is n, is equal to 6. The pattern p, the length of pattern p is equal to 3. So how many times it will go? That means it will go through n minus m, which is I is equal to 3 position. Initially, the value of I is equal to 0 and the value of j is equal to 0. So we see that ti plus j and pij, there is a match. If there is a match, then increment j by 1. Now, there is also a match, ti plus j and pj. If there is a match, then increment j by 1. Again, we see that ti plus j and pj, now there is a mismatch. If there is a mismatch, then set j is equal to 0 and the value of I will be incremented by 1. So previously the value of I is equal to 0, right? Now it will increment by 1. That means the value of I1 is equal to 0 and j is equal to 0. So the now we see that again that the pattern pj and the text ti plus j, there is a mismatch. If there is a mismatch, set j is equal to 0 and increment I. So previously the value of I is equal to 1, it will be 2 now, 2, and the value of j is equal to 0. So we say that in ti plus j and pj, there is a match. If there is a match, then increment j by 1. Yes, increment j by 1. Now there is also a match in the position I equal to 2 and j equal to 1. So ti plus j and pj, there is a match. If there is a match, increment j by 1. Then we see that there is also a match between ti plus j and pj. If there is a match, then increment j by 1. So the value of j will be 3 now. That means the value of j is 3 and the length of the pattern p, m, is equal to 3 also. Then that means all matched. So pattern found at index I equal to 2 position. Now we will continue again. We will increase the value of I by 1 and set j is equal to 0. Here we see that in ith position of the text and j's position of the pattern, there is a mismatch. If there is a mismatch, set j is equal to 0 and increment I. So if we increment the value of I, that is 4, since I is equal to 4, which is actually greater than n minus n. So the loop will stop here. So we can say that finally that pattern found at index 2 position only. Hope you will understand about the topic of the naive algorithm. If there is any confusion, please let us know.